Umbrella Academy fans might have thought Luther Hargreeves' mission to the moon was a thing of the past, but we're here to tell you it's not. It is known that Luther Hargreeves started Netflix's The Umbrella Academy on the moon. But why was he there? In this video, you will learn how Season 3 explains the mystery. So make sure you stick with me to the end. So without wasting any time, let's dive into it. Luther's mission was not without worth. In 1989, Reginald Hargreeves founded the Umbrella Academy and trained them as professional superheroes destined to save the world. In the Umbrella timeline, these adopted siblings grew apart and Reginald orchestrated his own death to reunite them. In the Sparrow continuity, he became a drugged shell of his former self watching TJ Hooker and eating ice cream. It's hard to say why Reginald had a worse fate. The Umbrella Academy Season 3 digs much deeper into Sir Reginald's backstory mind pit. Its ultimate purpose emerges. Season 1's weird pot of lights is finally explained, and that Season 2 Dark Side of the Moon tease is paid for good measure. Much remains unsaid about Reggie's alien background and insect-like biology, but the big questions surrounding his motivations and presence on Earth are laid bare. Did Luther spend his solo superhero career fighting bad guys and saving the world? Maybe that is not exactly the case, so keep watching to find out. But before that, let's get to know what Luther thought he was over the moon in Umbrella Academy Season 1. While the likes of Diego and Allison would have questioned being sent on a mission into space alone, Sir Reginald Hargreeves took advantage of Luther's unwavering loyalty by sending his number one to the moon without really explaining why. Luther was tasked with writing detailed reports of celestial conditions and collecting lunar rock samples from the field, but never received a clear indication of what these tests were for. In his naivete, Luther assumed he was saving the world by guarding against an interstellar threat. It's certainly the story Allison tells her daughter while reading Spaceboy at bedtime. And Luther is equally convinced that his mysterious mission was sort of heroic. That was until Luther discovered that all the packages sent on his lunar excursion were unopened and stored in his father's office. Demanding answers from Pogo, the talking chimp claimed that after Luther's accident, the one that resulted in his transformation into an ape, Sir Reginald felt his number one needed a purpose, so invented the lunar mission to concentrate the spirit of Luther. Understandably devastated by this revelation, Luther comes to believe that Sir Reginald simply wanted him out of the way. Next up, Umbrella Academy Season 3 reveals the real reason Luther was on the moon. Just as expected from anybody in his situation, Luther Hargreeves finally confronts his father in the Umbrella Academy Season 3. Unleashing his pent-up frustrations, Luther blames Sir Reginald for sending him on a wild lunar chase. Sparrow Reginald corrects Luther, revealing the lunar mission did have a point, guarding the most precious thing in the universe. Although reticent Reggie does not share any further details with Luther, the Umbrella Academy Season 3 flashbacks confirm that just beyond the area of the moon Luther patrolled was a cryogenic chamber containing the diseased Abigail Hargreeves, the wife of Sir Reginald. Unbeknownst to Spaceboy himself, Luther's presence on the moon protected Abigail. Although the Umbrella Academy doesn't explain exactly what harm a frozen corpse on the moon could take, Season 2 Episode 743 does drop a potentially vital clue. Sir Reginald Hargreeves' shadow government contacts, the Majestic 12, threatened his alien friend by mentioning his interests on the dark side of the moon. The Majestic 12 became the Massacred 12 soon after, but Reginald's other enemies could possibly know his secret as well, which explains why Abigail might need a bodyguard. The existence of Abigail Hargreeves was Sir Reginald's biggest lie, so it's no surprise he didn't share this crucial piece of information with Luther. But why would Pogo tell number one that Reginald wanted to give him a purpose in the Umbrella Academy Season 1? The chimp butler didn't necessarily know about his master's lunar lover, so perhaps the purpose was just what Reginald told him as they packed Luther's underwear into the rocket. On the other hand, Pogo is Sir Reginald's oldest friend and was even aware of Project Oblivion's existence, so he certainly could have been aware of Abigail's moon tomb. Pogo spends almost all of the Umbrella Academy Season 1 lying to Hargreeves' brothers. Telling Luther that his father sent him to the moon to find a purpose could be another intentional half-truth. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. So, what's so precious about Abigail Hargreeves? Will she really be able to save the world? What powers does she possess? I know that these and many others are some of the questions you are dying to find answers to. The good news is that the answers to your question are answered in this video. Want to know already? Good, I'll tell you. Why did Sir Reginald Hargreeves need Luther to protect Abigail's frozen chamber? Was it just love? Or does Abigail have a deeper importance for the survival of the universe? While this question won't be answered until the Umbrella Academy Season 4, if it is answered at all, several small details suggest that Sir Reginald wasn't just resurrecting his wife for selfish reasons. Though Reginald Hargreeves repeatedly claims that his sons were meant to save the world, the Umbrella Academy Season 3 finale reveals that the team's true purpose was to enter oblivion and power up the universal reset machine, which Reginald uses to resurrect his wife. Perhaps by saving Abigail, the Umbrella Academy is saving the world. I still don't understand how. Reginald does describe his wife as the most precious thing in the universe, after all. Maybe he's just a great romantic. Or maybe he's being literal. Just maybe. Funny enough, Abigail Hargreeves was first introduced at the start of Season 1 finale. The mysterious scene takes place a long time ago on what appears to be a farm on another planet, where several rockets are launched into the sky. This suggests that Abigail and Reginald are husband and wife. The Umbrella Academy Abigail Hargreeves twist explains two key mysteries from seasons past. Shortly before the Majestic 12 massacre, the organization referred to interests on the dark side of the moon. Season 3 confirms that those interests were actually Abigail and the cryogenic chamber preventing her body from rotting. The secret purpose of Luther's lunar mission in the Umbrella Academy Season 1 is thus made clearer. Reginald put number 1 in lunar exile to watch over his precious Abigail, which means the trip wasn't as pointless as Luther has spent the past 2 seasons believing. Why Reginald kept Abigail on the moon rather than in the spacious basement of his own mansion is unclear. Maybe the moon was safer. The house does have a supernatural knack for getting destroyed. Or Abigail's room needed the vacuum of space. Maybe Reginald just couldn't risk his children finding out why he really came to Earth. Another unclear case is the question of someone else being on the moon before Luther. Could there be someone else before his arrival? Here's a tricky question. If Abigail has been languishing on the moon since at least 1963, probably earlier, why did Sir Reginald Hargreeves only send someone to protect her in 2010? There is no suggestion that a guard was stationed on the moon before Luther, and there's no reason that Abigail needs more protection in the present than she did in the past, right? And here's another tricky one. If the Umbrella Academy Season 3's universal reset machine gives Sir Reginald full power to rewrite reality, why does he need to freeze his wife's corpse? Even if her body was buried, the reboot machine would surely be able to resurrect her. Strangely, these two questions can share an answer. Sir Reginald Hargreeves founded his Umbrella Academy because he needed a 7-person team to enter Oblivion, defeat the Guardians, and then power the universal reset with his marigold fireflies. When Diego, Allison, Klaus, and Viktor left home, with 5 already gone and Ben dead, any hope of completing this plan would have been dashed. Since Abigail's resurrection is impossible, it makes sense that Reginald would send Luther to protect her frozen body from her, since everything that makes her special could still be preserved. This explains why no one was protecting Abigail before Luther, and suggests that Sir Reginald kept his wife's corpse on ice as a backup plan in case he couldn't revive her properly. I guess that explanation resonates with you too. Let me know in the comments section. To conclude this video, let's look at Luther's time on the moon. In the Umbrella Academy Season 1, Luther makes several references to being on the moon for 4 years. With the Umbrella Academy starting in 2019, this means that he must have taken off around 2015. Presumably, Luther would have stayed even longer if Sir Reginald Hargreeves hadn't orchestrated his own death to bring the brothers back together to the Academy. Luther only returns to Earth when he hears the bad news, so he could have stayed in orbit indefinitely if that message hadn't gotten through. So that concludes today's video. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to share the video with your friends. Thanks for watching, see you next time.